DeSanto Propane is 4 generations strong as a trustworthy family-owned business with unmatched customer service. Go online at DeSantoPropane.com for more info or call toll-free at 1-800-752-4574. Since 1937, the difference has been DeSanto Propane.
On Wednesday, December 6, 2023. This is FLX Weekly, and it's a great, one of my favorite shows of the year because it's the show before the Wonderful Life weekend in Seneca Falls, New York. So we're going to be talking about that. And as part of that, I have Jimmy Hawkins back in the studio here with us. He's going to talk about his role as Tommy Bailey in the all-time holiday classic film and some other topics from his iconic career. But first, this episode of FLX Weekly is brought to you by Seneca Falls Acupuncture. Get glowing for the holiday season. Take $20 off the Acupuncture Glow Facial in December at Seneca Falls Acupuncture. The Acupuncture Glow Facial is an extended cosmetic acupuncture treatment for vibrant skin. Goals of this unique treatment include improving skin circulation, brightening and plumping the skin, and decreasing facial puffiness. Using only the highest quality skincare products in gentle technique, it's a luxurious and relaxing treat. Schedule online at SenecaFallsAcupuncture.com. And also, Blush by CV Designs, a local woman-owned business in the heart of the Finger Lakes, offering women's clothing and accessories, quality home goods, and unique gifts. See what everyone is talking about by visiting their location in downtown Seneca Falls, or browse all of their products online at shopcvdesigns.com. And of course, this is a big weekend for Christine downtown at Blush by CV Designs. She'll have everything all decked out and have her biggest weekend of the year in terms of traffic. And if you're coming to Seneca Falls, you're certainly going to want to stop in on Fall Street and check out Christine's awesome store. So, as I mentioned, Jimmy Hawkins is here, and it's always a real treat. Really a legendary Hollywood figure who had an iconic career. And of course comes to Seneca Falls every year, as he was Tommy Bailey in the most popular holiday film of all time, It's a Wonderful Life. So Jimmy, welcome back. I appreciate you taking the time to come up and talk to us.
Well, thanks for having me. It's always fun talking to you.
And you flew in yesterday?
Yeah, last night. Yep. All ready for the festival, and a lot of nice things planned for it this year. And they're making a lot of documentation on us talking and bringing in people who know the behind the scenes things about the movie. John Curry will be here tomorrow. And
yeah, I'll be talking to John Curry tomorrow, so he's in
important.
town to help document a lot of this.
Yeah, his dad was a set decorator and 2-time Academy Award winning set decorator, and you'll see how important that part of the movie is. So you're very lucky to have him. And but I always like coming back talking to you. It's great.
Well, I love the movie. I've made no secret about that, and it's funny for me just watching it for the first time as probably a 10 or 11-year-old on my mother's bed while she was wrapping presents. Instantly I fell in love with the movie and seen it maybe 1,000 times since then. But to be able to now talk to folks like you and Carolyn Grimes, and to learn more and more about the movie and see the impact the movie's had on Seneca Falls and the growth of the Wonderful Life Museum and the festival, it really is great, and learned so much. And we've had these conversations before, so it's tough to not want to rehash the whole thing for people that haven't watched. But first off, what's your schedule for the weekend? Because I know a lot of people are going to be in town and they'll have a chance to actually meet and talk to you.
Well, the thing that excites me the most is to be able to tell stories about the history of making the film and how it was made, and the different people that come into that part of making the movie. You know, as an actor, you think the movie's all about you, you know, but for a certain part of the film, it is. And it's very important to film the actual movie with the actors, but so much goes on before.
Sure.
You know, the writing of the script, locations, where they're going to shoot it, what it's going to be like, how they're going to cast it. So many things come before the actors. And like I said, it's very important, but then once they have all the script done by the actors, then it's time to move on and start editing the film, and who are you going to get to score it. So many parts that's the most important part.
Yeah, I think
So it's quite a story of the history of making a film, and I think the museum has captured it very well and continue to do so. And
Yeah.
that's very important.
they do a great job, and it is interesting now, just where the movie and TV industry is kind of gone now in 2023. I was thinking about, like, my daughter's watched the film, and it's probably the only black and white film she's ever watched. And I think this generation, that film also, as well as just being a part of everybody's holiday season, is also a connection to expose maybe the next generation to that era of filmmaking, where maybe they wouldn't even bother to, watch a movie that's in black and white or older movies, because there's so much content available now, and it just seems old-fashioned. But that movie still will resonate with the next generation, and it probably will continue to for decades.
It has, and it is continuing to. It's because of the message of the film that they gravitate to, because of what Capra read in that little Christmas card that was sent out that the studio bought, and he read 2 or 3 other scripts that had been written, and he knew that didn't capture what he read in that little card, that a man gets to see what life would have been like if he had never been born. And what resonates with the people today that watch it is that they see that the individual is important. No matter who you are, you can make a difference.
Right.
I don't care if you got $50 billion or nothing. Even having nothing, you are important. And that's what the movie tells us. I was talking to Sheldon Leonard, who played Nick the bartender in the film. He became a very successful producer, director in television. Mary Tyler Moore, Andy Griffith Show, produced all that. But he told me, he says, Jimmy, the film never changed. The people changed. The people need that message more than ever now, to show them that you're important. And people, that's what they go away with. They know, whether we showed it at Attica Prison to all the inmates up there, and then they shared their stories with us for 2 hours afterwards, and it was very enlightening. They were very, they had all their notes written to ask us questions, and they were very in-depth. They saw that they were important, that they've made a great error in what they chose to do in life that ended up in Attica Prison. And they wrote us letters afterwards telling us that, and that the thing that was saddest to them is that they didn't get to see their daughters and their sons grow up while they spent all that time. And they said, after seeing that film and being inspired by it, I don't ever want to come back to a place like this once I get out. So look at that. It inspires everybody. It's just the stories that people come and share with us. It makes it just wonderful to be able to talk about it, because, we're the last man standing. There's just Carolyn Grimes, Zuzu, and myself left to be able to talk about it. We miss Janie coming back, Carol Coombs. That's a very sad part of our story, that she isn't here with us to be, because we all started off together back in '93. This is the 30th year of being together, and we miss her. And she was a great part of what we set out to do. So.
And you mentioned, the movie resonating with prisoners in Attica, and it really, I think every individual who watches it, it can resonate in a special way that appeals to them personally. And in a lot of instances, it actually will change someone's life watching this film. And we meet a lot of those people in Seneca Falls during the It's a Wonderful Life Festival. They come from all over the world.
They do.
Which is just phenomenal to see. And there certainly hasn't been another movie in the history of filmmaking that has had this type of everlasting impact.
It is, and one man told his story, and he told it his way. One man, one film. That's what he believed in, and certain things along the way weren't being done like Capra wanted, and that person wasn't there the next day. Somebody else was sitting there, because you do have to have a vision. Somebody has to have a vision when they make the film, good, bad, or indifferent. Take same type of camera to shoot it, sound, actors, everything. But it's what you do with those people. And Capra had that vision, and he was devastated when it lost money. Yeah. And he couldn't understand why this would happen to him. But some greater power had a better plan than his plan. He wanted instant gratification and get that Oscar and show.
He was nominated, right?
Pardon me?
He was nominated.
Yes, it was up for 5 Academy Awards, but won nothing except a citation. They invented movie snow.
Right.
And that's the way they do it even today.
An amazing movie. I mean, very authentic looking. I mean, it was, and that was key, I think, to do a holiday movie.
If the special effects team at RKO invented that way of making snow, so it didn't crunch like cornflakes. They usually had cornflakes coming down, and so it did get a citation. But if he had won the Academy Award that year, this film would never be what it is today. It would have come and gone. Oh, it got the Best Picture. I mean, look, the Best Picture that year was a great film, Best Years of Our Lives. It was a fabulous film and well-deserved of the Academy Award. But it took 20-some-odd years for that film to fall into public domain. Somebody didn't pick it up, but that, like I say, that was a part of somebody else's bigger plan. To let that film be able to be played free on television. And for the next 10, 15, 20 years, it started catching on because TV stations could play it for free. And they jumped on free, you know.
And just that alone, the fact that it was able to be widely distributed every Christmas season, I mean, that gave it a boost, but the film has to stand on its own. I mean, and as someone, like I said, who's watched the movie so many times I can't even remember, I still enjoy it as much as the first time.
Right, but
that's a special
it had to do that to be seen, free, for people to start seeing it, and it's popping up all the time. Then they would have trivia parties. Back in the 80s, I heard of trivia parties, and I thought, well, this thing must really be getting big. So, but by 93, it had really caught on, and Capra was alive to see that.
Oh, he was. That's what I was going to ask. If he actually did get to see the impact that this film eventually had.
And know that it was the film he made. And that he said, I don't know what happened. He said, it's the greatest film I ever made. He said, in fact, I think it's the greatest film anybody ever made. And it's quickly becoming that. I mean, it's already been voted the most inspirational movie of all time, best movie in England last year. It just is growing, and one day it will be the greatest movie ever made.
Yeah, I think it's got to be there now.
It's close. A lot of people, you know, think of this one or Citizen Kane or that one, but this one is just working its way up. Because that's the way it was meant to be. Yeah, because it gets reprised every holiday season, and so many families make it a part of their holiday season. You know, they'll either watch it, some watch it on Thanksgiving night, some watch it on Christmas Eve, but it's part of their holiday season, and so the fact that it's woven into the fabric of America now, and people, like you said, come up to us and tell us that when I was little, I used to watch it with my family, and now they have their kids they bring to introduce them to us, and they watch it together with their parents. So it just is growing. It's just so, no matter how many times you see it, you'll cry at the end.
Oh, God,
You
yeah.
just have to, and you know.
To my
it's
big
coming.
brother George, the richest man in town. That's
Oh,
the line.
it's a killer.
Yeah.
It just shows you give, and you don't even know you're giving. George Bailey never thought he was doing anything special. He was just doing the right thing for people. And that's what the world's missing now. Just do the right thing, not the right for your group or right for the other group. Just do the right thing, and everything will turn out fine for everybody.
Yeah, I think it's poignant to point that out that, you know, the world right now is divisive. Where there's armed conflicts in Israel and Ukraine, and the political
Point of view, their point of
temperature
view.
in America is so divisive.
Right.
And then It's a Wonderful Life is a movie that really,
And they all jump on it.
yeah.
Oh, politicians, everybody, all love it, and it's there. But then January 1st comes, and it's back to business as usual, and they don't carry that message all year long. But at least they do think of it for 6 weeks now, and that's important. It makes a difference. It just does.
Yeah, it's definitely good. It's comforting. A lot of people, maybe it's the only time they're moved to tears in the course of the year watching the film.
Some people do tell me that they watch it periodically through the year to get that little, rush.
Yep.
But the world now is just so greedy. It's just, oh my God, you go, how much do you need?
Yeah, it's funny. There was a survey done recently. They asked people across all economic levels in America whether they made $30,000 a year for their household or $300,000 or $1 million, whatever it was. They asked, the question was, how much more do you need to be comfortable, was the question. And every single level of income said the same thing, and it was about 30% more. So if they made $30,000 a year, they felt they needed $40,000 a year to be comfortable. And
Right.
if they made $300,000 a year, they felt like they needed
Keep that lifestyle going.
just to
Right.
feel comfortable. And what that survey showed was you already have everything that you need to be happy. The money part of it is kind of created.
Well, you just want to be able to do things for your children, send them to camp. And then with this 30% added on, you go, something's got to give.
Yeah.
And that's the unfortunate part.
But in the way the society is nowadays, I think everybody's always trying to, thinks that if they could just get a little better, they'll be happy. If they could get a little more, they'll be happy.
Right.
Instead of realizing, and in a way, that's kind of what It's a Wonderful Life was. George Bailey felt that, he was grinding away, and he just felt, if he could do a little more, if he could have a little more, if he could travel.
Yeah,
But
he wanted to travel. He wanted to get out of Bedford Falls, and something always happened to him that made him stay there, whether his brother came in and had gotten married, and her father was going to give him a job, and he knew,
Yeah.
oh,
He's going to be stuck
Stuck.
holding the bag.
right.
But at the end of the day, he had a wonderful life.
He had it all. It
Yep.
was all there, all along. And
Yep.
that's what we have to realize.
Right.
I've just seen people have everything in life, and then I would ask them, after they've achieved everything, got all the money in the world, the big house, I said, let me ask you something. Are you happy? And this just happened a couple weeks ago, and they said, no.
Yep.
I want to do something now. I want to give back. So at least they realized that they've had it all and they're not happy. You go, wow. And that's all of us. Boy, if I could just get that car.
Right.
You get the car and you go, next week, now what is it?
Yeah.
And that's just a human nature. Nothing wrong
Human
with
nature
that.
and the influence of modern society, I think. It's certainly maybe it's information overload, maybe it's social media where you can see what everybody else is doing, but only the best parts of what they're doing. Nobody's posting on social media their tragedies or their struggles. So that could be part of it. Yeah, I think maybe It's a Wonderful Life, in addition to everything we talked about, it's also just the ability for 2 hours to go back in time to when things were simpler and things were black and white, and just forget about everything for a while. And then, the emotional payoff at the end of the movie. It's as important now as it ever was. There's no doubt about that. And,
yeah, I've talked to people or somebody, they'd never seen it. I said, well, what'd you think? And what they took away from it was, well, it's a nice escape from reality. And I said, well, that's funny you should say that, because Frank Capra said, It's a Wonderful Life isn't the way life is. It's just the way it should be.
Yeah.
So that was his approach. He knew he was in a little fantasy world where everything got tied up by the end, and the brother comes there, and the guy's tearing up the injunction against him, but he knew that's not real. But why not?
Yeah.
Why shouldn't it be? And that's what the whole movie's about.
Shift gears a little bit here. You remember the Screen Actors Guild? So they went on a highly publicized strike this year, the actors.
Right.
Just your thoughts on that, and what they were striking for. If you feel like they got what they deserved, and
well, I know I've heard talks from people who were on the committee to get their changes and why it took so long, but they felt the last 2 weeks they weakened. There was so much talk about, hey, you're holding everything up, billions of dollars are being thrown away, and blah, blah, blah. And they felt a little too much pressure, that they didn't pay enough attention to certain aspects of the deal, and then just gave it away. Okay, we got a lot of stuff, but they should have stuck to their guns more on the AI situation.
Yeah.
That's going to come back to bite them in the years to come, when they should have been stronger and said, no, can't do that. So that was kind of the consensus, and now they're sending out ballots to vote on it. And because of a lot of actors aren't really aware of what all this means and what they ended up with, they're going along with the people, the president of the guild. So, well, if they think it's all right, then we should. But there are certain aspects are going, no, they gave up too soon. I'm not, just for that reason, I'm going to vote against it. But it won't be big enough to not pass. It will pass, and so will this thing come back to bite them. And this streaming thing, they gave up things to the studios. They call it producers. They're not really producers. It's the studios.
in terms of like residuals and
yeah, well, yeah, residuals, that was fine, but it's the streaming business that they gave up so much for the last 10 or 15 years to go along with the studio to see if streaming was gonna work. And now they know it worked big time through that pandemic, because they were supposed to release films to theaters, and actors were supposed to get a percentage of that theatrical release. So when they cut back 3-4 weeks and went to streaming right away, it cost the actors millions of dollars because they don't get streaming.
Right.
They got the theater, but the studios were smart enough to go, we're going to pull it from the theaters early, put it on streaming, and then people will buy our streaming, and that's where we'll make the fortune, because we won't have to pay the actors. Well, now the actors are saying, no, we went along with you for all that time. Now it's time that we should get some benefit from it.
Right.
So that 1.5% or 2% became a big deal. They got that, but they gave away that AI, which was
Yeah.
not good.
Yeah, especially with the way that technology is progressing.
Oh.
I mean, who knows? 5 years from now, they might be able to make a movie from scratch with, no actors.
Nobody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And-
nobody will have to show. But anyway, that's the feel of that.
Okay.
It'll go through, but they should have stayed a little stronger, a little longer.
Okay.
I think the biggest problems are within the guild themselves. But that's another story.
Well, speaking about, actors and movies, It's a Wonderful Life, they did some sort of a remake in the early 80s, I think. Maybe it was late 80s.
It was later than that.
Yeah, so is that something you think could happen
No.
in the future?
No.
No?
No, not that kind of thing. The thing that could be happening is like a limited series, 6 episodes every Thanksgiving to Christmas about what's happening in Bedford Falls today.
Oh, yeah.
How the family has still stayed true to it, and what's happening now in Bedford Falls, that we get that good feeling when we watch Bedford Falls, and the stories that would be, kind of
More contemporary.
It's Wonderful Life is the original, but they've done Touched by an Angel,
Yeah.
Highway to Heaven. Those are all really takeoffs from It's a Wonderful Life, because an angel comes down and shows people what their lives are like, and they became very successful. I think it's time that the original comes back and
Yeah.
does a limited series, but nothing that they can compare with. That's why I've never tried to do anything. The closest I ever came to is I sold a special, the radio version to PBS, and had an all-star cast do it for not only PBS but pediatric AIDS. All
Okay.
these stars believed in that organization, so I put them all together and then filmed the radio version, and that was extremely successful because they couldn't compare a bunch of actors standing in front of mics to a full-blown movie, but they got to see an education of what radio was. A lot of
Right.
people go, "What's radio?"
Yeah.
You say, "Oh, people stand and then you hear music and."
Well, that's what they'll be. The Sun Community Players will be performing a
Yes.
radio version again for this year's festival.
Right, that's based on Merry Christmas, George Bailey that I did for PBS, and people have caught on to doing it. Why do a musical where you need so much when people can just walk up to a mic, read it, and now the people see, oh, is that the way that generation grew up? Mm-hmm. The theater of the mind.
Right. You have to
Because
imagine it.
everybody listening on the radio saw it differently.
Right.
They got to see their movie version of it. Mm-hmm. And that was why radio is so popular. And to take this popular movie and show that so many years ago they used to promote movies by doing a radio version, the Lux radio version of It's Wonderful Life, and the stars would come back and play their abridged version of their movie, so that people would say, well, that sounds good, Martha. Why don't we go see that movie? It's coming out next week. Let's see. The radio thing sounded pretty good. Let's see what Jimmy Stewart does with it. So that was kind of the way they promoted movies then.
Well, as I mentioned, you can check out that performance this weekend. Schedule of events is at therealbedfordfalls.com. The 5K race set for Saturday. And if you woke up across the Finger Lakes this morning, it felt a little Christmassy. There was some snow on the ground overnight that fell, but that's going to change. So while this festival sometimes is really special when we do get snow, it's also nice when it's comfortable for people to be outside and walking around. I think that's what we're going to get this weekend here in the Finger Lakes. Friday's going to be mostly sunny with a high near 47. Friday night it'll get down to only 38, and then Saturday, which is usually the premier day for the It's a Wonderful Life Festival and the 5K run day, mostly cloudy with a high near 56. And so that is very comfortable for this time of year here in Seneca Falls. And then on, it's only going to get down to 46 Saturday night too. The winds will pick up. Sunday should bring some rain, but mostly in the afternoon, but a high near 60, an early high near 60 degrees on Sunday. So it's going to be a wonderful weather weekend for the Wonderful Life Festival. And if you haven't made plans yet to visit us in Seneca Falls, just make the short drive. Guarantee if you're a fan of the movie that you will just be blown away by how great the festival is. And part of it is because of folks like you, Jimmy, coming, making the trip to Seneca Falls every year and talking with the fans.
What's good about our portion, we're all inside. We're at
Right.
either the Trinity Church or the Gould Hotel. So when they get to talk to the Bailey kids, Zuzu and Tommy, and the set decorator, son has a fabulous story that you'll hear tomorrow. And then Donna Reed's daughter talks about her mom, a lot of things, but they're all inside nice, warm places. And
But really a unique opportunity for if you're a huge fan of the movie, which I know that there's so many that are that haven't come to Seneca Falls. It'll be worth it to make your plans to visit at least one of the 3-4 days of the festival. Saturday is usually the
yeah, there's all sorts of nice
biggest
things
day.
to see. The parade, if you like a parade, they have a nice parade.
Christmas parade. Yep,
Yeah, pardon me?
a big Christmas parade.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
And it should be good weather for the parade.
Yeah,
So,
so there's something for everybody.
well, I appreciate you coming in. Have a great time in Seneca Falls, and like I
Always,
say, I
always
encourage
do.
everybody to come out
very
and
nice
meet
to
you in
us here.
person.
We're
Well, we're
That's what makes it. Look at Zuzu. She started this whole thing 22 years ago, I think. Maybe this is the 21st, 22nd.
yeah.
Because so there's the one person again, made a difference.
Big difference.
Came here to sign in the Clarence ice
Yeah,
cream
the
parlor.
hotel clearance was back
And
then.
look at what it's grown to. It's got its own museum. The state of New York has invested in tourism that comes here.
It's a
And-
huge weekend for our downtown businesses too in Seneca Falls.
Oh,
Like it makes their
definitely.
year. It's so.
and walking up and down the street, seeing the different characters from the movie, and it's something very, very special.
Yeah, and I will say this too, as someone who's down in the mix of it all, and there is a feeling of happiness, contentment, gratitude. It really is.
It inspires.
Yeah, it's an inspiring feeling to just come down and be a part of it, whether you're running in the race or just walking around downtown and taking in the sights and sounds. There's a feeling about it that's unlike anything else.
Yep, they're very lucky. So thank you again.
Yep, thanks again for coming in. Have a great weekend in Seneca
I
Falls.
will plan on it.
So thanks everybody for joining us. If you enjoyed the show, click like, share, and subscribe. We'll be back next Wednesday. Until then, have a great, wonderful weekend here in the Finger Lakes.